My next guest is a big deal in the Seattle arts community. Peter Boal is celebrating his 18th season as artistic director of the Pacific Northwest Ballet. And if that doesn't keep him busy enough, he's also out with a new memoir called Illusions of Camelot, a memoir. Welcome to New Day, Peter Boal.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So you've had a strong career and so many things and very storied, yet you chose to write largely about your childhood.
Yeah, this book is really about my growing up, the community I lived in, and not a whole lot about ballet. A little bit about how ballet became this sort of beacon for me and pulled me in over time. But the place I grew up and the family I grew up in, there are enough stories there to sift through that I thought there might be interest in this book in particular.
I'm sure stories that we really need to hear. There's a nice picture of you as young Peter. What was it like growing up in the affluent town of Bedford, New York?
Bedford was a strange little enclave of families that were privileged and very pastoral. Everybody had horses, and there's something idyllic about it, but also something that wasn't connected to the real world.
Yes.
A lot of people would be pulled over for various drunk driving incidents or something, and if you knew the police force, you were just waved on and it was ignored. And for others, it was a different ending, and it didn't feel like the real world. And it was odd to grow up in that little microcosm that wasn't quite reality.
But here's where I think what you have to say still has relevance. There are still several communities here in Seattle that are like that, that are set apart and almost distanced. Your father is a major focus of the book. How did your relationship with him shape you as a person?
Yeah, my dad was amazing, full of love for me, but also suffering so deeply from alcoholism, as so many people are in so many different lives. But the love was real, and I lost him when I was 20, and I still feel his presence a lot in my life. And there's resentment that somebody's not around for your adult life to meet your children and your wife. But ultimately, love trumped resentment, and I still feel that bond and still feel lessons that he gave me over time.
I understand that. Ballet was introduced to you in small doses. It wasn't just all at once. This was your love. How did it suck you in eventually?
Eventually, yes, because I was pulled into Swan Lake quite distraught and unhappy about it. Just too young and kicking and screaming, and why am I watching this? But I had a ballet school that was really on a high level, the School of American Ballet in New York, and they did not want me to quit. They said, you can't quit, you have to keep doing it for another year. And I was so glad they did, because 1 year in, I realized that I did love it, and there was nothing quite like it, and it was a means of expression that I was looking for in my life, so it's become my life since then.
I have to say, I have to stop you there. I have friends who attended the School of American Ballet. It's not just like you can walk in. I mean, it's a rigorous process to get in.
Yeah. Well, I'll correct that a little bit. It's really rigorous unless you're a male, and then it's a lot easier. And they just say, come on in, you'll be fine.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, I love that you cleared that up. You've worked with some of the greats, including George Balanchine, who is a famed dancer, choreographer. Thank you. You even visited him at the hospital as he was dying.
Yeah.
Was he a father figure to you?
A bit. I didn't work directly with Balanchine like so many did. I did as a child in the Nutcracker Prince, different roles growing up. And he was a presence all through. He actually hired me as an apprentice when I was 17, but he was already in the hospital at the time, so I didn't work as an adult with him. But he was such an iconic figure. A friend of mine said, we have to go see him in the hospital. We can't miss this moment.
Of course.
And he sat with us for an hour and talked with us for an hour, and we had one of his great days. And I was really happy he did, because he changed our profession dramatically over time, and his work is still so relevant and seen so often.
And you see his name today all the time. The AIDS epidemic. You were in New York at this time. It devastated parts of New York in the 1980s. You experienced a personal loss at the time. Would you mind talking about that? I know it's in the book.
Yeah, there's a chapter about I entered into a relationship with a fellow Corps de Ballet member named John Bass, and it was a big deal for me to enter this relationship and sort of to grapple with my own sexuality. And John became quite sick, and we didn't know what it was. And actually, AIDS, people didn't even know what AIDS was.
Yeah.
There was this thing going around called the gay cancer that didn't really have a formal name yet. And then John passed over a period of about 6 months, but it was just a kind of devastating chapter in my life.
God, yeah.
And a time that could have been a very happy time, but it became quite different. And as you said, AIDS really, in New York and San Francisco and many other cities, and
Yeah.
particularly in the arts, just wiped out dancers and many other professions as well, and it was rough.
Very horrible.
Yeah.
And it's important that we do continue to talk about it today.
I think so. A lot of people lived through that and felt
Yeah.
that pain, and it felt like a story that needed to be told.
I'm glad you did. The story ends with a cross-country move to Seattle and a new beginning.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, and will we see a part 2?
A part 2. Part 2. It was a lot that went into part 1, so I don't know. I'll have to sort of think
I won't
about that.
push you then.
Yeah, I love the Seattle chapter. I moved here with my wife. We had 3 children under the age of 10 at the time.
Oh my goodness.
And we didn't know much about Seattle. It was a little bit of a blind leap across country, but found we had a lot of friends here already. And the Pacific Northwest Ballet has been a dream. I have loved that job. It's thriving at this point. So I'm really proud to do that work. And I'm also a huge fan of the Pacific Northwest and don't think I want to live anywhere else.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this story with us, for
Yeah.
having the bravery to share your life.
Yeah.
It is an absolute pleasure to speak with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And of course, Peter will be at the Elliott Bay Book Company Wednesday, May 31st, to celebrate the launch of his book. The fun starts at 7 p.m.